Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Tuesday evening, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Down below, make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. Good evening, Keveron. Glad to have you here. As always, tonight we're going to be talking some college football. We're going to be talking some NASCAR. We're going to talk a little college basketball, not much. And we're going to talk some Major League Baseball. First, we'll start out with the NBA, which I really don't even want to discuss. You know, the season started 2 weeks ago and it'll last until 2075. But my team is off to a absolutely hideous, atrocious start, which I'm not surprised by. They were terrible last year. They're going to be terrible again this year. Hey there, Austin. Glad to have you here. But they might get a win tonight because they're playing the Hornets, who are about as equally as bad as they are. But NBA season is just way too long. But even though the season is way too long, my team sucks. And come March, they're still going to suck. They were picked to win, I think, 32 games. They're not getting there. They might win 25, maybe. They're terrible. They're awful. I'll watch it later, Austin. In the world of college basketball just got underway. Typically, normally, I don't even think about college basketball until mid-December when we're, wrapping up the Army-Navy football game, wrapping up all the college football conference championship games, and then we're looking toward the bowl games and the playoffs, and then during that, off time for college football, I'll think, oh, you know what? I think I'll watch some college basketball, but now that Clemson is absolutely dreadful this year in football, I'm glad it's college basketball season because I think they're going to have a good basketball team, and it gives me something to get my mind off of football because they're suck at football, and the basketball team is really good and should have another March Madness run in them. I don't know how deep, but at least, make it. But it'll go all the way into baseball season, which can help me again get my mind off of football. Hey there, Elizabeth. I am fantastic. Austin, hope you are as well. And Elizabeth, it is good to have you here. If this is your first time here on the channel, whatever reason made you stop by the channel tonight, thank you for doing so. If it is your first time here, make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And hey there, I'm going to assume that's Guyan. Hopefully I'm correct. If not, I apologize. Hey there, Nolly. Glad to have you here. A lot of first-time names in the comment section like Elizabeth, Guyan, Nolly, and Ivan. Glad to have you here as well. So college basketball is underway, and of course Auburn fired their coach after their dreadful loss to Kentucky. I kind of saw Hugh Freeze getting fired, but I thought it'd be after the season. Hey there, Nathaniel. Glad to have you here. And hey there, 05. Glad to have you here. There's a list of the names that are supposedly candidates for the Auburn job. Now, of course, we know you're going to see Lane Kiffin's name on there. Lane Kiffin's name is listed at every single school ever that has an opening. I do not play sports. Ivan, I'm a huge sports fan, but I do not play sports. I played church league softball for a while, and I've been a professional wrestling referee for 18 years now. I play sports, during the holidays outside with the family, but as far as playing on a team, I do not. And everything is well, Okie Light. I've been wondering where you've been, so it's glad to have you back. But Outside of Lane Kiffin, we also have Jimbo Fisher, James Franklin, John Sumrall, Eli Drinkwitz, and Brian Kelly. Supposedly, the leading candidate is James Franklin. Now, I personally think John Sumrall is hanging on for the Kentucky job. Now, if Kentucky doesn't fire Mark Stoops after this season, I can see him going somewhere else because he's tired of waiting. I am not from Texas, Stitch, but thank you for asking, and hello to you as well. But I think he believes that Kentucky's going to move on from Mark Stoops, and if they do, I think John Sumrall will be the next coach at Kentucky. And I personally think the next coach at Auburn will be Butch Jones. I'm just kidding, by the way. But if you look at the recent history, the reason why I say Butch Jones is nothing he's done is deserving of the job. But you look at Auburn's last couple of head coaches. Brian Harsin coached at one time at Arkansas State. Hugh Freeze coached at one time at Arkansas State. Gus Malzahn at one time coached at Arkansas State. So that means the next guy in line is Butch Jones. And hey there, Jay. Glad to have you here, and thank you for subscribing, Ivan. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now, the Dodgers just won the World Series again. It's their third one since 2020. I wanted the Blue Jays to win. They haven't won one since, I believe, 92, and they were 1 out away. They were up 4-3 in the top of the ninth with 2 outs, and the Dodgers tied it and then won it. So now they've won back-to-back World Series, and they've won 3 in 6 years. Yes, it is a busy time of the year. Okie Light, I agree. I've got 3 kids because of our 7-year-old twins. So it is a busy time for me, but it's busy for me all the time, not just this time of the year, all the time. Probably a little bit busier right now because of the fact I do, radio, high school football. And, of course, once that ends, I'm pretty much free after that on Friday nights, for a while for the most part. So right now I'm a little bit busier, but between church and work and wrestling and 3 small kids and them all being in school, it's busy to me all the time. Hey there, Drushan. Glad to have you here. Hey there, Kevin. Glad to have you here. And I think it's y'all's first time here in the comment section. If it's y'all's first time on the channel, whatever reason made you stop by the channel tonight, appreciate it. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe if you have not subscribed. And hey there, I'm going to hope that's Mayra if I'm saying your name wrong. I apologize. Maybe the Y is silent and it's Myra. I'm not sure. Either way, glad to have you here. And hey there, Smokey. Glad to have you here. And thanks for telling everybody to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. And Kyle Larson wins his 2nd NASCAR Cup championship. He is, I believe, the 18th driver of all time to win multiple championships. And after what happened to Denny Hamlin Sunday, I'm convinced that NASCAR is changing the point system. They may not go back to the old way, but it's definitely going to be changed from what it is right now. Well, Mayra, I'm glad to know I said your name correctly. And if it's your first time being here for whatever reason made you stop by the channel tonight, thank you. And Sylvia, nice to have you here. I think you're new to the channel as well. And I am not going to the Clemson game, Sylvia, and it's not because they're terrible this year, because as you see, I'm a Clemson fan no matter what, but I'm a professional wrestling referee, so I'm in a wrestling ring. If not every weekend, I try to do it every weekend because one day I'm going to be too old to do it. And when that day comes, I'm going to look back and say, well, I should have done it when I could. So I try to do it every weekend. So I don't really want to buy a football game ticket because I might think, oh, I'm free that Saturday. But then guess what? If somebody messes me on Facebook about coming to ref somewhere, I'm going to go. And then I'm losing the money on that football ticket. But I don't know, Sylvia, if I'd go anyway, because back before I become a professional wrestling referee, Sylvia, I was trying to go to one or two Clemson games a year. I never did buy season tickets because I've always been so busy that I know I'm just not going to be available every single weekend. So I would buy single game tickets and just plan, 2 or 3 times a year to go. But back then, Tommy Bowden was the coach and Clemson was a 7 or 8 win team. And I paid $55 for a ticket. And I said, you know what? If tickets get much higher than this, I'm not going. And now they're about triple that. And you think about my wife and kids don't care nothing about going to a game. So I would be going alone. But even with going alone, by the time you buy the ticket and you pay to park and you eat and you get gas, you're talking about $200 easily for one game. And I can sit on my pancake butt in my living room and see the same thing for free. So I just don't understand the allure of people paying that much for a ticket. Plus, on my couch, I ain't got to wait 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. I ain't got to wait 5 minutes to go get a drink. I ain't got somebody drunk sitting beside me. I ain't got to sit like this because it's butts to elbows across the whole stadium. I can sit on my couch and spread out as much as I want to, and my sweet tea's free, and the bathroom line ain't long. So I personally would watch it on TV, even if I didn't have wrestling shows, but I do really have wrestling shows. But I'm not up for all the crowds. It's just not for me. I don't like being in crowds of people like that. But on to tonight's main topic, which is the college football playoff poll, which is why I'm just now coming on here because it was about 8:35 Eastern time before they released the entire top 25. They started out with the bottom half and then finally released the top half. But of course, the top two, which should surprise nobody, Ohio State and Indiana. And then we have Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia rounding out the top five. 6 through 10 is Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Oregon, and Notre Dame. And I feel bad for the Big 12 because the Big 12 doesn't get the publicity it deserves. It doesn't get the talk it deserves. It doesn't get the hype like the overrated SEC gets. But the Big 12 has 3 teams that deserve a playoff spot, and that's BYU, Texas Tech, and Utah. But there's no way on God's green earth the Big 12 gets 3 teams in. It's just not happening. So one of those 3 teams that deserve a playoff spot aren't going to get one. Now, this weekend, number 7, BYU plays number 8, Texas Tech. More than likely, the loser of that game is going to be eliminated. But BYU's undefeated, so if they lose, they still have a chance, a small chance, but a chance. Whereas Texas Tech already has 1 loss, so if BYU beats Texas Tech, unless we just see all kind of unexpected things the last 3 weeks, if BYU beats Texas Tech, that all but eliminates Texas Tech. That game is at noon on Saturday. By the way, we'll talk more about all the games this weekend coming up later on in the week. And Sylvia, glad to have you here. I've had a couple other people in the past that have came on here in the comments section and said they are Ohio State fans. So glad you are here. Tell your friends, tell your family all about the channel. The one thing about my channel, Sylvia, is I have teams that I pull for in every sport, but I don't show favoritism towards my teams in any sport. I am completely down the line. When I talk sports, I put my fandom to the side and call things how I see them, whether I like somebody or not, because to me, that's the only way to truly talk about sports. It's too easy to like a team, so you only talk about that team, or to hate a team, so when you hate them, no matter what they do, you're going to bash them, but that's not honest. That's not how you really feel. You're just saying that because you hate them. To me, that's not fair. So I'm completely honest with every team and every sport I do. Now, I might be wrong, but it's not wrong based on me liking this team or hating that team. It's just wrong because it's sports and you can be wrong. and your teacher's going to the game. I hope your teacher has fun. Texas, number 11. Oklahoma, number 12. That's the top half, and the bottom half starts out with the aforementioned Utah Utes at number 13. Now, typically, usually, in the past, not counting last year, but before last year, most years when Kyle Whittingham is coaching Utah, the later the season gets, the better they play. If that's the case, and they're 13 right now, they'll end up being top 10 by the time the season is over with, but they've got some tough games coming up. So I could see them losing again, but if not, they'll be top 10 by the time the season ends. Then we have a few unexpected teams right after Utah at 14, 15, and 16. We have Virginia, Louisville, and Vanderbilt. And you could have polled 1,000 people back in September and asked them, when the first college football playoff poll comes out, which ACC team is going to be ranked the highest, and none of them would have said Virginia. I don't think true Virginia fans would have said Virginia. But right now, their only loss is a non-conference loss, because they lost to NC State back in September, but it was a conference game. So Virginia right now is undefeated in the ACC, but also you got Louisville and Vanderbilt right behind them. And then we have Georgia Tech, Miami, USC, Iowa, and then rounding out the top 25, we have Michigan, Missouri, Washington, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee. Sylvia, good night to you as well, and please feel free to come back some other time. I'd love to have your Buckeye opinion as we go forward, since you are a Buckeye fan. So the first playoff poll comes out. It doesn't make the AP poll completely irrelevant, but it makes it a lot less relevant, because the majority of the time going forward now, the playoff poll is going to determine everything. The AP poll, they kind of use that for the playoff seedings, but it's a small portion, and honestly, I think it's even a smaller portion than they portray it to be. So it still means a little bit, but not that much. So right now, your 12 playoff teams would be Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, BYU, Texas Tech, Oregon, Notre Dame, Texas, and Oklahoma. So any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. My buddy is caught torn between two lovers. One makes incredible pancakes. The other writes beautiful poetry. Not sure if he should marry for batter or for verse. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.